So it's very difficult, and it is a big obstacle to be told by some of your friends that it's not cool to be a Christian. And it is just not, it's not a good thing at all. But God says that no matter what you go through, he'll comfort you. And he will lead you through whatever you go through. Even if he's not visible and right by your side, he is. And he is by your side, even though you cannot see him. And if you just don't think that, he literally gave us a book that is all about how he's always there for us and how he's always going to be by our side, even if he's not visible. And that's just that. The last question is, what's it like being a student in today's world? It's difficult. It's very, very difficult because it's not like, it's just very different than what it used to be. It's so hard because, like I said, persecution and all that, but it's very rewarding because, like today, I get to come up and I get to share, and I get to just tell you all about the good Lord. And that is just an amazing thing to me. But it is very, very difficult to be a student because it is just today, it is so hard because there are so many kids that are lost and that don't have the ability to be reached by some of us. So that's why it's really cool that we can go out and go into the community and do mission services and all that stuff, and then we can reach them, and then one day maybe they'll have the opportunity like I have. I'm so fortunate that I was born into a very loving family and got into an amazing church that'll let me have the opportunities I have so that perhaps I can reach out and give an encouragement to other students so they can do such a thing as this.
Thanks, Ben. Next, we got Miss Jaden. Everybody say, God bless you, Jaden. Just to prepare you, she's got jokes.
Good morning. So, my name is Jaden, and I have jokes. So, I have 3 jokes for you guys today. Number 1, who is the funniest person in the Bible? Samson. He brought the whole house down. What size of lumber was used to build the ark? 2x2s. What kind of car does Jesus drive? A Chrysler. So, whenever Justin told us that we were in John 6, 1 through 15, I was comparing versions and stuff, and I realized in every version it does not say Jesus fed 5,000. It said he fed 5,000 men. That's not even including women and children. And that just blows my mind every time that he took just a small amount of food that his disciples were like, Jesus, it's going to take over half a year's wages for them to have anything. And he took just a small amount of food and fed 5,000 men, including, and the 5,000 isn't even including their wives and their children. So God's a pretty cool guy. So whenever I was asked, why do you follow him? I was thinking, Jesus has done so many things in my life that I can see was for the greater good of him. In the moment, I'm that kind of sucked, but it all kind of brought me closer to him. And choosing to follow him has been the best decision of my life, not because he took away the storms, but because he's been my umbrella through them. So, obstacles of my journey with Christ. I've been going here since I was 4 years old, so I've always known about God. But when my parents divorced, I was like, if God loves me, why would why would this happen? And so I got really close to my big brother, and he kind of became my rock instead of God, because I was like, it feels like God left me during this time. I know my brother won't. But 2 years ago, he went into the Air Force. I was terrified. how was I going to get through the messy life of divorced parents? So I was pretty rough when my best friend invited me to church camp. And that has been the best time of my life because it just showed me how much God loves me and that he wasn't going to leave me like my brother just did. And I thought that God didn't love me, but it wasn't that. It was just I didn't let him in to show me that. And I realized he gave me a wonderful family, the best friends, and the best small group leaders I could ever ask for. And I wouldn't be here right now without them. So, like, student life right now, it can definitely get chaotic. We were just talking in our Bible study, like, people try to challenge you. And being a follower of God, that can be hard because they're like, well, we can't see him. But you couldn't see Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, so what? And so there's always going to be the challenges, but it's been the best time going through those challenges with my best friends and watching them grow and helping me grow in my walk with Christ.
Thank you, Jaden. Nina, somebody say, God bless you, Nina.
Good morning, guys. I'm going to be completely honest. When Justin asked me to speak this morning, I said, no way. I'm not doing that. I'm not getting up on stage in front of everybody. But I had no reason not to, so here I am. And I also started to think about when I listened to someone else's testimony in the past, how much it got me through what I was going through at the time. So I hope that today, even if it's just one person, that whatever I say, you can take and apply to your life at some point and know you aren't alone. I'm going to start off with saying my name is Serena Lewis, and I'm a junior in high school, and I've been a Christian ever since I was little. I was lucky enough to be raised in a Christian household with a loving family. So with that being said, any questions that I ever had about my faith or doubts, they were usually answered because I had the right people to go to. But now that I'm getting older, I'm the one that's helping my friends or my little cousins who are seeking guidance for the questions that they may have. And I don't know how my family made it look so easy because I really struggle to know if I'm telling them the right things or showing them with my actions. Like I said earlier, I've always been a follower of Christ and believe that he was real. So I struggle to help the ones who were raised differently than I was. I struggle to have sympathy for those who repeatedly keep choosing to do the wrong thing, even though that's the only example they've ever known. But this year especially, God's provided me with the opportunity to be an example by bringing my friends to church, by singing worship, or even just being kind to someone and telling them that God is there for them. So I shared all of this to say that just because you're a Christian, it doesn't mean that you won't go through struggles or have uncertain times about God and his capabilities. But it does mean that you're a church to the unchurched, and your actions and your words are what the ones who don't know the Lord like you do look up to. Titus 2:7 says, "Show yourself in all respects to be a model of good works, and in your teaching show integrity and dignity." In this verse, Paul is trying to encourage Titus to reflect God's goodness, not just in his teachings, but in his life. Your words should be filled not with just wisdom, but with grace. So right now, in my season of growth with the Lord, I'm learning to not be so quick to judgment, but also not partake in actions or say words that would be a discouragement to someone who knows me as a child of God. And that's what I got for you guys.
It's cool to hear their faith, isn't it? You know, I was reminded as Ben shares, too, about the difficulty in living for Jesus and being a student. I don't know if you can remember back whenever, I don't know if you grew up in youth ministry. I remember for me personally, it just seemed like, and I shared this at the first service, it seemed like the majority of students were wanted to follow God, or at least, had some kind of desire to know the truth. And And now, like being involved with student ministry, it's the opposite. You've got the majority of those the kids that show up on Wednesday nights that aren't there necessarily for Jesus or to hear truth. They're there to hang out with their friends, and I'm glad they keep coming. But that makes it extremely difficult for students who are following Jesus, because in some sense, where in their spheres where they go to school, it can almost seem very lonely. There's only a few of them, if that are following Jesus, and so it can be very hard for them. And so I want to encourage you to pray for them. Pray for our students. Pray for the next generation as they begin to walk out their faith. I was reminded of this, that many students, and you could probably even say people, not just students, but are crying out for help without verbally saying it. There's things that they're dealing with. There's things that they're going through. Divorce, loss of a family member, anxiety and depression, the pressures at an all-time high to try to put on and be this perfect image, especially with social media. You're scrolling on social media and it's just hours and hours of comparison of, I don't look like that, and I'm supposed to do this, and all of this, and it can just end up with a lot of depressed and anxious people. And so a lot of people are screaming for help, and they just, it's almost like they don't know where to look, and they don't know where to find it. And what I've been encouraged by these students and several others in our student ministry is they're realizing that their only hope and their only help is in Jesus. And that's the same for each and every one of us in this room, too. The things that we go through, the things that we experience, the only way we can make it through, like stronger and the Lord using things to help us and to shape us and mold us, is by depending on Him. I mean, there's people that come up with this self-help stuff, and they can strap their boots on and pull up their bootstraps and get going through life for a little bit. But what we understand is when you do life that way, it still doesn't end good. You have to have a relationship with Jesus Christ for eternity. And we've got to help. We've got to help students know that. We've got to help people know that. And I was reminded in Luke chapter 9, Jesus, He's going around from town and villages, teaching in the synagogues, preaching the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and every sickness. And when He saw the crowds, He felt compassion for them. And listen to this. This doesn't sound much different from us today. He had compassion on them because they were distressed and dejected, like sheep without a shepherd. Maybe today we don't understand the shepherd reference as much as they would have, but we can definitely understand the idea of being dejected and distressed, stressed out, depressed, and anxious. We can definitely feel that and know that. And then it says, then He says to His disciples, the harvest is abundant, but the workers are few. People are looking for hope. People are looking for something to help them. And yet there's few workers in the field helping them know what that is. So it's what He's saying. And so He's telling His disciples, He says, the harvest is abundant. People are searching. People are looking for something. But the workers are few. Therefore, pray to the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into the harvest. And He's telling His disciples this, who He is training to do this. Like they're learning from Him on how to love people and share truth with them. And so he's telling them not only should we be the ones going and sharing hope with people and living it out, but also we should be praying for the Lord to raise up more people like these three that will stand for their faith and will be a great witness and a great testimony in their time and place. And so just my encouragement to you this morning is I hope that you're encouraged and somewhat challenged by the faith of students. Maybe you're kind of like, man, it seems like they're farther along than me and I'm older than them. Or when I was their age, I wish I was where they were at their age. I hope that you're challenged and stretched by the faith of these students, that their understanding, they have this understanding that their foundation should be Jesus, and that should be priority of their life. And so that should just all, make us all reflect of, man, is that where we are with our faith with Jesus? Or have we, because of the busyness and the craziness of life, have we gotten distracted and have gotten away from Him being the main thing? And then my other encouragement would be that from this is that you would be challenged to not only pray for maybe your part in investing into the next generation. Maybe you have kids. If you're a parent in this room, like, you are the number one disciple of your children. I know that you all send them to church hoping that they will find some truth, but the reality is they're with us an hour or 2 hours a week, and they're with you the rest of the time, or at school. Someone else, it's almost like it's kind of a weird, strange reality that someone else could be raising your children. But we're supposed to be, as parents, we're supposed to be the main disciplers. We're supposed to be the main teachers, teaching them about God and teaching them about the things. And maybe you're like, well, I don't know God. Well, this is the really cool and encouraging thing is God doesn't call you to be qualified. He's not saying you have to qualify for this in order to start following me and start teaching others. He says, no, just be humble and follow me, and I'll teach you along the way. And you can do that with those that are around you, the kids or grandkids that you're investing into. And so my encouragement to you is, man, I want to help raise this next generation up to be better than we were, to be stronger in faith than we are. And that's got to take a lot of people. And Jesus says the reality is that there's not a whole lot of people. The workers are few. And so kind of the idea he's getting at is he's like, man, one, you guys need to take your place. Do your part. And then continue to pray for others to jump in. And so I really want you to be challenged with that this morning. I want you to be challenged to think about maybe how you're raising your kids. What are you teaching your kids? How are you helping as a grandparent? Maybe you don't have kids. How are you? That's okay. Like, I'm not saying you have to have kids, but how are you investing in the people around you? And may you be spurred on and encouraged that as you do, you will continue to hear more stories like these. More students that are standing up for their faith and living for Jesus and holding on to Jesus no matter what comes their way. So I just want to take a moment for us to just pray. And I want you to think about those people in your life. And maybe, and this is the crazy thing, is maybe... I hope that you're encouraged that maybe you have kids that aren't following Jesus right now. They're off and they're wondering, they're doing their own thing. And maybe you feel like you've somewhat failed or that you've messed up or that you haven't done a good enough job. I think the hope is that you're still here and you still have an opportunity. And Jesus is calling you to be a laborer for the harvest. So wherever you're at, I encourage you, start where you're at. Even if it's something small, by choosing to pray for them every single day. I was also reading the story of the parable of the prodigal son, where the son is lost and the father is searching for him, is waiting at the door, looking at the horizon, waiting for his son to come home. May that be us. God has the opportunity. God has given us the opportunity as believers to be a part of the search and the celebration. Searching for those that are lost to come home and to celebrate when they do. And so my invitation to you is just, join the search. Join the search, because if you don't join the search, you're going to miss out on the celebration. And maybe for you, if you're here this morning and you don't have a relationship with Jesus and you're just like, I just don't know about all this though. You have a lot of questions. There's a lot of things that's going on. I would just encourage you, tell Jesus you need help. Say, Jesus, I'm far from you. I don't know what this life looks like, and I have a lot of questions, but God, can I just, in this moment, can I just put my faith in you? God, I put my faith in you, and I say, help me. Save me. Give me your Holy Spirit to live like you. And the good news is he gives you his Spirit and he helps you to walk with him. We don't do it perfect and we mess up a lot, but I'm thankful that his grace and his mercy never fail. So I just want us to pray for a moment, and I just want you to think about, maybe if you would, just go ahead and bow your heads and close your eyes. And just maybe think about your faith. But also think about the faith of others that are in your sphere and in your world.